Here is the number everyone quotes when this topic comes up. Claiming Social Security at 62 instead of waiting permanently reduces your monthly benefit by up to 30%. For the average retiree in 2026, that is a difference of about $621 a month, every month, for the rest of your life. And most people hear that number and they stop. They decide to wait. But here's what that number does not tell you. It only tells you the cost of claiming early. It does not tell you the cost of waiting. And for some retirees, waiting has its own very real costs, costs that never get talked about. So today, we are going to do something different. We are going to walk through 9 specific signs that claiming Social Security at 62 may actually make sense for your retirement. Not for everyone, for some. And here's the most important thing I want you to hear before we start. You do not need all 9 signs. Sometimes just 1 or 2 is enough to completely change this conversation. Let us find out if any of them apply to you. Sign number 1. Work has become unsustainable. The first sign does not show up on a spreadsheet, but it is one of the most legitimate reasons to consider claiming early. If your job has become physically or mentally unsustainable and you genuinely cannot keep working until 67, then the standard wait as long as you can advice simply does not apply to your life. Think about Robert, 62 years old, 31 years in a warehouse distribution center, 2 back procedures, knees that are not cooperating anymore. Robert is not being dramatic. He's not looking for an excuse. He has simply reached a point where the work is doing more harm than the paycheck is worth. For Robert, the real question is not, should I claim at 62? The real question is, what happens if he doesn't? If the alternative is continuing a job that is breaking down his body or draining savings while he waits out an income gap, a smaller check arriving now may be far more valuable than a larger check arriving at an age when his health has already paid the price. Retirement planning has to account for the life you actually have, not the one the spreadsheet assumes. A smaller check that arrives while you're healthy may be worth more than a larger check that arrives when you're not. If work has become unsustainable, sign 1 is speaking directly to you. Sign number 2. Your health history changes the math. Social Security is, at its core, a longevity bet. If you claim at 62 and live into your 90s, waiting would have paid more, sometimes significantly more. But here's what most people do not factor in. The break-even point, the age at which waiting finally pays off, is typically somewhere around 78 to 81. Break-even, approximately age 79 to 81. If your health history or family longevity gives you genuine, honest reasons to believe your retirement may fall short of that range, the math shifts entirely. Claiming earlier may actually produce more lifetime income, not less. Meet Patricia, 61 years old. She's managed a serious health condition for several years. Both of her parents passed before 73. Patricia is not being pessimistic. She's being clear-eyed. For her, waiting until 70 to maximize a benefit she may never fully collect is not the conservative move. It's actually the riskier one. No one can predict their lifespan, but if you have real, specific reasons to believe your retirement may be shorter than average, that belongs in this conversation. It's one of the most legitimate reasons to consider 62. Sign number 3. Monthly cash flow is under real pressure. Inflation has been real. Medical costs are real. Utility bills, groceries, insurance, all of it has climbed. And for some retirees who technically could wait on Social Security, their honest truth is that their monthly budget isn't holding together the way they planned. They're pulling from savings faster than expected. They're skipping things they shouldn't skip. Every month feels tighter than the one before. Here's the practical reality. If claiming Social Security at 62 meaningfully stabilizes your monthly cash flow, if it slows the savings drain, covers your essential monthly expenses, and reduces financial stress to a manageable level, then a smaller check arriving now may be worth more to your actual retirement than a larger check arriving later. Without any Social Security claim, savings draining fast. With early Social Security claim, portfolio pressure reduced. This is not a failure of planning. Sometimes life costs more than the plan predicted, and Social Security is designed in part to be exactly that, a reliable income floor. If cash flow is a genuine concern right now, sign number 3 is speaking to you. Now, the next sign shifts from personal finances to household strategy, and this one surprises a lot of married couples. Sign number 4, spousal strategy and coordination. Here is one of the most overlooked Social Security strategies for married couples. If you are the lower earning spouse, the one who earned less over your career, claiming at 62 may actually fit into a smart, coordinated approach that protects the whole household. Here is how it works. The lower earner claims at 62. Their benefit is smaller to begin with, so the 30% reduction costs less in real dollars. Meanwhile, the higher earner keeps waiting, ideally until 70. Higher earner delays to 70 is plus 24% benefit growth. Every year past full retirement age, the higher earner's benefit grows by 8%. By 70, that is a 24% increase on top of their full benefit. But here's the part that truly matters for married couples: survivor benefits. When one spouse passes, the survivor does not keep both checks. They keep the larger one. The smaller one disappears. The survivor keeps the larger check. The other disappears. So if the higher earner built up the biggest possible benefit by waiting until 70, that becomes the survivor's income for the rest of their life. Meet Linda and James. Linda is the lower earner. She claims at 62. James delays until 70. This coordinated approach can add significantly more to total lifetime household income than both claiming early or both waiting. It's a household strategy, not just an individual one. If this is your household structure, sign number 4 deserves a serious conversation with an advisor before either of you files. Sign number 5. Large retirement accounts may change your timing. Let me start with what this actually looks like in real life. Imagine you're in your mid-70s. Suddenly, the government requires you to start taking money out of your retirement accounts, money you didn't plan to spend yet. That money gets added to your income for the year, it pushes you into a higher tax bracket, your Medicare premiums go up, and a larger portion of your Social Security becomes taxable too. Everything stacks, all at once, and you cannot stop it. Required withdrawals plus Social Security plus investment income equals big tax bill. This is what can happen if you have large traditional IRAs or 401k balances, and you have not done any income planning before the withdrawals are forced. Now, here's the piece most people miss. The years between 62 and 73, before those forced withdrawals begin, may be your lowest income years in retirement. That window is an opportunity. Claiming Social Security during those lower income years, combined with intentional withdrawals from your retirement accounts, can spread your income more evenly across retirement. Instead of a tax surge in your mid-70s, you smooth it out over many years. Think of it like filling a bathtub. If you turn the faucet on full blast at age 73, the tub overflows. That overflow is taxes. If you fill it gradually, starting at 62, it stays manageable. This is not about being aggressive. It's about being ahead of the math instead of behind it. If you have significant savings in traditional retirement accounts, sign number 5 may be a reason to have a deeper conversation with a tax advisor before you decide when to claim. That was the most technical sign on this list. The next one is the most personal and maybe the most honest. Sign number 6. The go-go years don't wait. There's a concept in retirement planning called the go-go years. It refers to the early phase of retirement, typically the early to mid-60s, when most people are still healthy, still mobile, still full of energy. These are the travel years, the adventure years, the years the bucket list was written for. And they're followed, for most people, by the slow-go years and eventually the no-go years. This is not doom and gloom. It's just how retirement actually tends to unfold for most people. Meet Carol. she retired at 62 with solid, not lavish, savings. She didn't wait for the bigger check. She claimed early and used those early years to live the retirement she had spent decades imagining. The financial planning community sometimes frames this as irresponsible, but here's a different way to see it. Retirement income that arrives when you can use it may be worth more to your quality of life than income that arrives when your options have narrowed. This is not permission to ignore your finances, it's permission to include your actual life in a financial decision. If your go-go years matter to you and your savings can support an earlier claim, sign number 6 may be speaking to you. Sign number 7, unexpected early retirement. Not everyone gets to choose when retirement begins. Layoffs, company restructuring, a caregiving situation that required stepping away from work, a spouse's health crisis that changed everything about the household income plan. Life does not always wait for your retirement timeline. Meet Margaret, 61 years old, 22 years in corporate project management. Her position was eliminated last spring in a round of layoffs. She has been applying consistently. The offers that have come back are roughly half of what she was earning. For Margaret, the Social Security decision is not theoretical. It is about how she manages the next 12 to 18 months while she figures out what comes next. For the forced early retiree, claiming at 62 is not a failure of planning, it is an adaptive response to circumstances outside their control. Now, one important number to know if this is your situation. 2026 earnings test limit. If you claim before full retirement age and still work, annual earnings limit is $24,480. Above that limit, $1 withheld for every $2 earned over the limit. Important, that money is not lost forever. It is recalculated back into your benefit once you reach full retirement age. In 2026, there is an annual earnings limit of $24,480. If you earn above that while claiming early, Social Security will temporarily withhold some benefits. Pause. But here is what matters. That money is not gone forever. Once you reach your full retirement age, your benefit is recalculated upward to account for the months that were withheld. If retirement arrived before you were ready, Sign 7 is directly relevant to your situation. Here is something that surprises a lot of retirees. A market downturn in the early years of retirement can permanently damage your portfolio, even if the market eventually recovers. Here's why, and here's the simple version. Imagine you have a bucket of water. Every month, you take a cup out to live on. Now imagine someone tips the bucket halfway over. You keep taking cups out. By the time the bucket refills, it can never fully recover because you kept pulling from it while it was low. That is what happens when you draw heavily from your savings during a market downturn in the early years of retirement. You sell investments at low prices to cover your expenses. Those sold shares are gone. They cannot grow back. The rest of your portfolio has to work harder, and it often cannot keep up. The first 5 to 10 years of retirement carry the most investment risk. What happens early determines a lot of what happens later. Now, here's how Social Security connects to this. Every dollar of Social Security income you receive is one less dollar you have to pull from your portfolio each month. If your Social Security covers a meaningful portion of your monthly expenses, your portfolio withdrawal rate drops. You take fewer cups from the bucket. The portfolio has more time and more room to recover when markets dip. This does not mean claiming at 62 is automatically the right move for your investments. But if you are retired or close to it, and market volatility is a real concern, Sign 8 is worth including in your planning conversation. This final sign is the most personal one, and it may speak to more people than any of the others. Sometimes the honest answer is simply this. The math of waiting until 70 does not fit the retirement you are actually trying to build. Maybe you do not have 8 to 10 years of savings to bridge the income gap without Social Security. Maybe your monthly budget was always built around Social Security as a core income pillar starting in your early 60s. Maybe the lifestyle contraction required to wait that long is genuinely not sustainable for your health, your household, or your well-being. None of that is a failure. It is just reality. A plan that works is always better than a plan that looks optimal on paper but cannot be lived. Meet someone like Gerald, 63 years old, solid working history, modest savings. He ran the numbers. Waiting until 70 would require him to cut back in ways that would put real strain on his daily life for nearly a decade. For Gerald, the reduced benefit at 62, combined with a disciplined monthly plan, produces a retirement that actually works, not the mathematically maximum one, the sustainable one. And sustainable wins. Retirement is not only about maximizing income, it is about building something you can live. If sign number 9 feels familiar, you are not alone, and you are not wrong. Now, before we move into the final section, I want to take a moment. If you've been watching this and nodding along, if 2 or 3 of those signs felt like they were written about your life, that makes complete sense. They were designed to reflect real situations that real retirees face. And it's entirely normal to see yourself in more than one. You might be the burned-out worker who also has health concerns. You might be the lower-earning spouse who also needs cash flow stability. Retirement situations are rarely simple. They're layered. Most retirement decisions involve more than one factor. That's normal. That's real life. So now we do something that most retirement channels skip. We step back and look at the full picture. Because the most trustworthy thing I can do for you is not just tell you the case for claiming early, it is to be clear about the situations where waiting is genuinely the smarter move. This is not a contradiction of everything we just covered. It is the other half of the same honest conversation. Here is where we bring the full picture into focus. 3 situations where waiting may be the smarter move. Situation 1. The healthy high earner. If you are in good health, with a family history of longevity, and you are a high earner over your career, delaying Social Security is likely the right move. Delaying from 67 to 70 grows your benefit by 8% per year. That is a 24% increase over 3 years. For a high earner, that monthly difference is substantial. And if you live into your 80s or 90s, the lifetime income advantage of waiting can be very significant. For the healthy high earner, patience genuinely pays. Situation 2. The still working higher income retiree. If you are still earning meaningful income from work and have not yet reached your full retirement age, claiming Social Security now creates an unnecessary problem. The 2026 earnings test means Social Security will withhold a portion of your benefit for every dollar you earn above $24,480. If your income is well above that, you may collect very little of your early benefit anyway, and you are locking in a permanent reduction for a check you are barely receiving. If work is still providing solid income, wait. The decision will be much cleaner when the income picture changes. Situation 3. The higher earning spouse with a survivor to protect. This is the most important situation of all 3. When the higher earning spouse passes away, the surviving spouse inherits the larger of the 2 Social Security checks. The smaller one disappears. If the higher earner claimed at 62 and locked in a permanently reduced benefit, that reduced amount becomes the survivor's income for the rest of their life, for sometimes 20 years or more. Delaying to 70, even at some short-term financial sacrifice, may be one of the most meaningful financial decisions the higher earner makes for their spouse. If protecting your partner's long-term income is a priority, waiting deserves very serious consideration. Which sign apply to you? Let me bring all of this together. Claiming Social Security at 62 is not automatically wrong, and waiting is not automatically right. The 9 signs we walked through today are a diagnostic tool, not a checklist where you need every box checked. 1 or 2 strong signs may be all the clarity you need. Here's a quick recap. Sign 1. Work has become unsustainable. Sign 2. Health or longevity raises honest questions. Sign 3. Monthly cash flow is under real pressure. Sign 4. Spousal coordination strategy makes early claiming the smarter move. Sign 5. Large retirement accounts create a tax timing opportunity. Sign 6. The go-go years matter to you, and your savings support it. Sign 7. Retirement arrived earlier than you planned. Sign 8. Protecting your portfolio from early withdrawal pressure is a priority. Sign 9. Waiting until 70 simply does not fit the retirement you are building. And the 3 situations where waiting is likely the smarter path: healthy high earners, still working high-income retirees, and higher-earning spouses protecting a survivor. The most important thing is not which age you pick. It is that you make this decision with full information for your health, your household, your income, and your actual retirement. That's what changes the outcome. If this helped you think more clearly about this, hit subscribe. Every week, we break down retirement decisions exactly like this one. No jargon, no fear, and no pretending one answer fits everyone. Which of these 9 signs felt most relevant to you? Just drop the number in the comments. You don't need to write a long explanation. 1 number, that's all. And if you're somewhere between signs, drop 2 numbers. You wouldn't be the first.